This morning I formally declared a state of emergency in anticipation of Hurricane Sandy. We should not underestimate the impact of this storm, and we should not assume the predictions will be wrong.
You look at some of the forecasts, they're suggesting a combination of events and a combination of weather patterns, which they liken to the perfect storm.
In light of these conditions, I'm going to sign an executive order mandating evacuation of Zone A areas.
Please listen to what your state and local officials are saying. When they tell you to evacuate, you need to evacuate.
Hurricane Irene was like a joke in my town. Like, if nothing happened, some water came up. And then, since they weren't even considering this like a hurricane, they were saying it's a tropical storm, my dad was like, oh, we're going to stay. Like, I'll board up the windows. And then we're watching the news saying the pressure of the storm is getting low. And my dad's a surfer, so he knows when the pressure's low, the waves are big. So he was like, this is not good.
Hurricane Sandy crashing on shore, winds now at 90 miles per hour. And this storm is so big, so vast, 60 million Americans will feel its power.
I never thought it was going to be as bad as it was. Everyone thought of Irene last year. You know, no one prepared for it. Everyone kind of just wrote it off as it's just going to be a little, a little storm.
I thought it was just another hurricane, but not like something severe where people have to move out or evacuate their premises.
Hurricane Sandy proves that people cannot question the power of Mother Nature. When a sudden, unanticipated catastrophe lands at your doorstep, there is before and there is after. In the blink of an eye, one's whole life may change. The storm swept homes into the ocean, flooded large swaths of coastal areas, and left millions of people without power, turning the streets of New York into something more like the canals of Venice. Not only material possessions were lost, but there was also the loss of life. Sandy has had a profound and lasting impact not only on my life, but also the lives of millions. Here are some of their stories. This is their after.
I'm from Neponsit, which is part of Rockaway Beach. Initial reaction was like I was in awe, because I couldn't believe like what it looked like before and what it looked like after. We were at my house. I lived 2 houses off the beach, and then we saw our beach wall break down, so then we went to my grandparents' house, which was even worse. We saw like Christmas like soldiers in the middle of the street, like just random things. And the first thing like you do is you're so like, it's unbelievable. So I'm like snapping pictures of everything. Well, in Breezy Point there's the volunteer fire department, and they just went around Breezy and they picked up garbage, trying to help people pump their basements. Like, just neighbors would just ask you, need help pumping your basements, you need help with anything. Like, everyone just helped each other. It's like amazing. It's a whole different dynamic how everyone acts right after a tragedy. We have been back in my house for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks now, because we have power back. A lot of my neighbors have power back. Some people in Breezy even have power, but there's no gas, there's no running water, so we can't live there. Tragedy, BITC, in a way, it just made you realize what is important.
I'm from Neptune, New Jersey. Ocean Grove is actually in Neptune Township, so you could say that, yeah, Neptune got hit hard in Ocean Grove itself, but I live about 8 miles inland, and we just experienced loss of power and a lot of trees down. It's just like nothing I have ever seen or ever could imagine happening. Since I have a web design and graphic design company and I need the internet every day to work, I was totally cut off, and we lost like 2 weeks of work. There's definitely been, in some of the areas, too many people. The volunteers, there were so many volunteers that the towns they were turning people away. Devastating, shocking, and then community. Well, there was the devastation. It definitely brought a sense of community, just like a lot of these, like 9/11 did, People came together to help, and you really see, I think you see people for who they are, really.
I live in Manhattan, Lower East Side. No words. It was a shock where I was just like, I wouldn't say denial, but I was so shocked where I was like, I didn't know what to do. I had to evacuate, went to my aunt in the Bronx. From there, we had to take a taxi. Me and my sister left. My father left for a couple of days, but came back. So I really didn't know how he managed. Without having electricity or power on for a couple of days is kind of frustrating. What I've seen change is community coming together and helping out others. Devastating. It was a tragic, and it's something that I would say we need to be humble about because we take little things for granted.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need.
The full scale of the damage left in the wake of Hurricane Sandy is apparent. The storm ran the length of the East Coast. Hard-hit sections of New York and New Jersey have begun cleanup. Many people remain homeless, battered, and torn. The recovery efforts will continue for many years to come. However, people are determined to overcome, rebuild, and move forward. From COM 1002, this is Kristen Smith reporting live.